Hello grade 3s. This week we'll be looking at similes and what is a simile and a few examples of similes, and then at the end of this video there will be a few activities for you to do that you can then practice what you've learned. So if we look at what is a simile, we focus on the words like and as. So it is a figure of speech. That means a way of saying something where one thing is compared with another thing that is completely different. Similes are used to make a description more exciting and interesting. So you will see with some of the examples of the similes that we're going to be doing, they compare two things. So they use the word like and as to compare them, and they make something a lot more interesting and exciting. So here again we have another definition that is a little bit easier to understand. So a simile is used to describe something. So it tells us more about something by comparing it to something else using words such as or like. So there's three examples there for us. We can say someone is as good as gold, or we can say someone roars like a lion, or we can say something is as yellow as the sun. So we're comparing things to something else using as and like. So let's have a look at a few examples of some similes where we use the word as. So for the next few slides there will be some pictures with a few little similes on to show you how we use them. So we can say as lazy as a pig, as sharp as a needle, as funny as a clown, as big as an elephant, as hungry as a bear, as white as a ghost, as cute as a kitten, as strong as an ox, as busy as a bee, as cold as ice, as tall as a giraffe, as sweet as honey, as cool as a cucumber, as brave as a lion, as clear as crystal, as light as a feather, as black as coal, as slow as a snail. Let's have a look at a few examples of similes where we use the word like. So we are still comparing two things, but we're using the word like in the simile. So we could say things like, we're like two peas in a pod, or to work like a dog, to swim like a fish, or to fight like cats and dogs. So when we say we're like two peas in a pod, it means that the people are very similar. So if I say my sister and I are like two peas in a pod, it means that we are two people who are very similar. We are quite the same. To work like a dog means to work very, very hard. To swim like a fish means you can swim very well. And to fight like cats and dogs, usually cats and dogs don't normally get along. So if people are fighting like cats and dogs, means they're constantly fighting about everything. We can also say things like to shine like the stars, to sleep like a log, or to have eyes like a hawk. So to shine like the stars would obviously be something that's very bright, like the stars in the night sky, or to sleep like a log. It's just a way of speaking. Obviously logs don't really sleep, but we say this if someone is fast asleep and they're in a deep sleep, nothing can wake them really. So they are sleeping like a log. And then to have eyes like a hawk means you have very good eyesight and you see a lot of things, you spot things easily, because obviously hawks have very good eyesight. Alright, so let's practice what we've learned. So for this part of the activity, you will need to, if you are watching on the PowerPoint, you will first complete the activity before moving to the next slide. Obviously, if you're watching on the video, you will need to pause the video now, do the activity, and then continue for the answers and the next activity. So for this activity, you need to match the similes. So you will see there is a list of the similes on the left, and then there are some answers on the right, but they're all jumbled. So you can either write them all down and match them like that way, or if you want to copy the table, you can into your orange homework book, onto a piece of paper, or even on your whiteboard. Otherwise, you can just number them and then match them that way. Whatever you want to do is fine, and then you will get the answers in the next slide. So you need to match up the following: as sharp as a we're like to, as strong as an, I have eyes like a, as sweet as, sleep like a, as slow as a, and swim like a. And then the answer options that you have on the right is ox, honey, log, needle, snail, fish, hawk, peas in a pod. Alright, so let's have a look at some of our answers. So you should have matched them. And we would say as sharp as a needle, we're like 2 peas in a pod, as strong as an ox, I have eyes like a hawk, as sweet as honey, sleep like a log, as slow as a snail, and to swim like a fish. Right, so let's have a look at our second activity. Now for this one, you need to complete the similes with the correct word based on what you've learned. So try to do this without going back in the video or on the PowerPoint and see if you can remember which words fit in where. You can either, again, write this in your orange homework book. You can number them and rewrite them and then fill in the spaces, or just fill in the answers. You can do it on your whiteboard, whatever works for you. So the first one says, as gold, roar like a as a clown, like the stars, as light as a and like a dog. So quickly see if you can fill in the correct words all by yourself. Okay, so let's have a look how smart you were and if you could fill in all 6 of these answers without going back. So the first one would be as good as gold, to roar like a lion is the second one. Number 3, as funny as a clown. Number 4, shine like the stars. Number 6, as light as a feather. And number 5. And number 6, to work like a dog. All right, so for this activity, our third activity, you will need some paper. So you can use your orange homework book, or if you have a book that you've been using to work at home, that's fine. And in this activity, we're going to practice making some of our own similes, and we're going to make some sentences with them. So you need to make similes with these pictures, and then you use them in a sentence. So there are 6 pictures in total. So try to use the word like for a simile for 3 of them, and the word as in similes for the other 3, so that you don't only have as or only like similes. And then once you've got a simile for each of the pictures, you can use those similes in 6 good sentences. So the first picture you can see is a little worm. Then you've got a fox, the sun, a butterfly, a bat, and the grass. So I'm going to use an example that's not on one of these pictures. So it can be a simile that already exists, or you can just make up your own one. So if we had to say, for example, if there was a picture of the sky, I could say as blue as the sky. So that would be my simile. And if I had to use that in a sentence, I could then say, he had beautiful eyes that were as blue as the sky. So I've made my simile and I've used it in a sentence to explain and describe more, to make my sentence more exciting. So you can write these down and then you can bring them to class to show your teacher your examples of your simile.